Hi, today I'm going to review Lindsay Burak's Death Before Dragons series. So this is a 9-book series and she has written it all in 1 year. Now that is how authors make a living out of being an author. This is an urban fantasy series. Lindsay Burak doesn't usually write urban fantasy. She usually writes traditional fantasy and a couple of sci-fi books. Now, I love Lindsay Burak. She's one of the few authors that I keep up to date with, and I will always read her books, and I have never been disappointed. She has masses of books, masses of series, and they are all great. Book 1 is called Sinister Magic. Now, I'm not always that crazy about Lindsay Burak's covers, but these covers are absolutely stunning. And one of the things I do love about Lindsay Burak's books is her characters. They are always really interesting characters. Now, the character in this series is called Vel Thorvald. She's the usual kick-ass urban fantasy protagonist, but she has asthma. That's her flaw. And that's the thing she has to kind of struggle with. But she hides it because she has this tough persona and she doesn't want people to think that she's weak. The other fabulous thing she has is a tiger from another dimension who can join her when she rubs a charm that calls them from another dimension. And the interactions that they have together are just wonderful, just delightful. So as far as the story goes, well, we have Val, who's an assassin, and in the first book, it's pretty major in that she's got to basically save the world from some dark elves. And into her world comes a dragon, a rather arrogant dragon, and the interactions that they have are really quite funny. That's one of the things I love about Lindsay's books. She never takes herself too seriously, and honestly, the banter between the characters, that's one of the things that she does, I think, probably better than anyone else. So Lindsay's books are really just a great escape. So if you read to, get away from the craziness of our world, you want an adventure that's got, just the right amount of battles and humor and drama. And really, I don't know how she manages to stay so creative because she's always coming up with something completely original. Okay, so that's Lindsay in general. In this series, you've got your 9 books here, right? 9 books. So I'm not going to go through each one of them alone. Here's another great cover out of all these great covers that she's got. All right, there she is with her tiger. And that's really exactly how Val looks. So the covers, they did a really good job with the covers. So now get a load of this. The dragon's name is Lord Zavrid Noquitel, and I'm not sure if I actually say that right or not. And I want to tell you what happens in the end, because I want to blow it. But this world that they live in, there's dwarves and goblins and elves, dragons, trolls, orcs. We have a lot of relationships with there's vampires. There's a crazy vampire who lives in her basement. He's an alchemist, and then one of her flatmates is he's a half dwarf who makes magical garden art, which does things like protect your property from people you might not like. The goblins are just wonderful in this series. They make all sorts of things basically out of trash. So, it's just very creative and very imaginative. Each book has a different story, but within that, the themes build until the end. And in the end, she manages to bring together all the elements of the series so that they're all tied up in this final book. If you're an author and and you're a fantasy writer, and you want to really study the way you can pull a whole series together into the final book for a really satisfying ending, this is a great series to study. The other thing that Lindsay does really well, not just in this book, but in all her books, is the pacing. It's just the right amount of, you're always wanting to know what's coming next, but it's not so desperate that you can't turn off the light and go to sleep. And there's some lovely amusing bits, that leave you feeling good, And I really like that in a book. I don't like books that are too heavy and too dismal and that kind of thing. So anyway, so this is a book I would recommend if you really like to read for escape, okay? And if you like a bit of lightness in your fantasy. So well done, Lindsay. I look forward to whatever you're going to write next, because you always give me a winner. Oh, and definitely 5 out of 5. I'm an editor. I don't give my stamp of approval to books unless they are really worth reading. I must admit, I'm a very fussy person when it comes to reading books. I'll just, put aside something that's not well written or well edited. So my recommendations, you can pretty much guarantee that they're worth a read. Unless you like something completely different to me. I don't like horror, for instance. And I don't like anything with gratuitous violence. So I plan to do more video reviews. I read about 2 books a week, and because I work with words all the time, I don't want to write reviews anymore, but I don't mind talking about them on video. So more video reviews to come. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch you next time. Bye.